There have been many role models in my life. Jesus Christ, who taught me the lessons, continues to teach me the lessons of unconditional love, willingness to sacrifice and giving up things that you love for a greater cause, including one's life. I mean, that's an amazing lesson, a very, very powerful lesson. Role models such as Sri Rama, who taught me and teaches me the lesson of value-based living. The core belief system, the core values upon which our thoughts, words, and deeds can be framed and designed, then we unleash an enormous power. Not success in the worldly eyes, because when Rama went to the forest for 14 years, everybody thought he's finished and gone, he disappeared, but then he came back to rule the kingdom in all its glory. So there is a beautiful pattern there, a beautiful moral there in that story. And of course, within that story lies my greatest role model, Hanuman, who teaches me the lessons of physical discipline, physical strength, mental grit and determination, and the humility by which we always consider ourselves instruments of the divine. That's what we all are. These are some of the many, many role models that I nurture in my subconscious, and I allow them to guide me, my thoughts, words, and deeds. So today I'm sitting in the precincts of a very, very old ancient temple. These are carvings just on the pathway, somewhere lost to everyday people. They may not even see these things, but they have been there for centuries. A temple dedicated to Hanuman. And as I sit here in the mornings, I open my heart to the Sai within to guide my thoughts and allow me to share with you all and with myself the thoughts that are so dear to Sai, the feelings that are so dear to Sai, the essence of Sai's teaching. So let us see, how do we celebrate the birthday of an avatar? So welcome and thank you for joining.
Hari Narayana Sai Narayana
Hari Narayana Sai Narayana.
Namaste and welcome to KYG. KYG celebrates today the 98th birthday of Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Baba. I'm recording this on November 22nd for November 23rd, and 22nd is a very special day for those of us who are being students of the Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, a divine university, because this was the day when it was our day, it was the convocation day. This is when we were recognized for the hard work on the academic side, and students were graduating, and I was one of the lucky students who graduated as the very first batch of students, and we received degrees from the divine hands, graduation, post-graduation, PhD, and so on. My heart fills with gratitude on this day every year, because this was the day when I had so many moments personally with this divine master, because he would dedicate the time for us when we would put up plays on that day, because it was an evening dedicated for students. So students would put up plays. Many of them I had the chance to write and exchange so many thoughts and inspirations with the master himself. So my mind is filled with a lot of memories. I know Baba says past is past, forget the past. The events are almost kind of blurring now as I choose what to remember, what not. It's a matter of choice. We edit, right, our past. But then the essence, the teachings are ever bright, ever fresh, inspiring me today as it did 20 years ago, 25 years ago. So allow me to share some of these thoughts on this holy occasion, where millions of people around the world celebrate the birthday of Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Baba. Avatar. Avatar is a very common word these days. Avatar means incarnation. What I have learned over the decades of being under this umbrella of Bhagwan's teachings is that every one of us is an avatar. There is no doubt whatsoever about this. However, most of us do not believe, do not remember, do not make any effort to go in that direction to regain that identity that we are conscious beings having taken birth for a purpose to be fulfilled in our lives. Why that purpose? It's a game. It's a game of the one divine intelligence that has become all of this. There are many, many waves from the ocean that manifest. They are not different from the ocean. Hundreds and thousands and millions of waves manifest, born and die, crash against the rocks, if you will, and come onto the seashore. Millions of them every second, every minute, every hour, over decades. Why do they come? Why do they go? That is the nature of the ocean. That is a $1 million question. That's a mystery that we have never been able to solve. Why? Right? So we will leave that aside. I don't want to claim any kind of scholarship in attempting to explain that. I leave that question for each one of us to answer as we evolve in our spiritual, if at all it's meant to be answered. But then what I have learned to believe is an avatar is just another wave, along with the millions of other waves. The avatar, when we say a divine incarnation, like Rama, Krishna, Jesus Christ, Buddha, Zoroaster, Muhammad, and so on, we consider them as divine incarnations, divine masters, somehow had superhuman powers. Where do they come from? Where do they come from? Many decades ago, as a young boy sitting in Mandir, like I said, I'm filled with memories, so I have to go back to those moments where I got these glimpses first, the aha moments, if you will, where the spark was lit by Baba, and then that grew into a steady flame, and that continues to guide my life and my thoughts today. Is many years ago, I was, the first time I thought about this concept is after Baba, shared that poem with us on his birthday, saying, you have to say this every day. Start saying, I am God. And he didn't say it for himself. He wanted us to say, I am God, I am God, I am not different from God. I am Akhanda Parabrahman. I am Sat, Chit, Ananda. Grief, anxiety can never affect me. I am ever content. Fear cannot enter me. I am God, I am God, I am not different from God. That kind of teaching was good to hear, but then I never could understand, never could grasp where, how, what is the meaning, then who is he then? Who am I? Why is this difference? And so on. This, just as all of us perhaps go through this and in different stages of our spiritual awareness. I wouldn't call it growth, it's just a matter of expanding our awareness and embracing ultimately that we always knew who we were, we just forgot, right? So I came across a book at that time called Illusions. The title of the book was Illusions, written by Richard Bach. An amazing book. It's a short read. It's not a very long book, and it's not philosophy. It's a story. It's an analogy. And I love analogies. I love examples because they give us a picture is worth 1,000 words. It's like that. An analogy explains the whole concept to you, and you get the aha moment clearly. So that book begins with a brief analogy, talking of how there is a group of fish living in the bottom of a river. The current of the water is flowing by, and below the river there are reeds, and all these little fish, they are clinging to the reeds and eating from there, and their entire life is spent clinging. That's it. One of the fish says, I'm tired of this boredom. I want to see what the river is and where does the river lead me. and it leaves those reeds and decides to go into that unknown. And the rest of the fish says, "Oh, you're going to die, you're making a big mistake, you cannot do that, this is our life, we have supposed to be clinging here, and this is what it is." But that fish decides to go out, and the moment he goes out, he gets thrown and trashed around the rocks, and the others who are clinging say, "Look at this foolish fellow, he's being punished for what he is going out," and this and that. But then soon the fish breaks free, and then he flows beautifully above in the river, free from that clinging and boredom. And he looks down and he says, "Come, just let go of your clinging, join me in this beautiful freedom of expanse and the joy of flowing with the current." And the rest of the fish continue clinging and say, "Oh, come, here comes the avatar, the incarnation, look at him, he's super normal, he flies." To me, that was a great book. I read it, and I still remember how these little signs, whether this was the right thought for me. As I was reading it, Darshan line, I had kept it below my mat, and Baba came and he looked at that book, little peeping out, and he kind of made a face. I'm not sure it was a smile or a smirk. It wasn't a frown, because his eyebrows were not frowning like this. So that was a good sign. Then he came in front of me, and as always, as boys, we would put our fingers out there hoping he would stamp it instead, and actually he did. He stood on the book, he stood on my fingers and stood for a while. He didn't speak to me or anything, but I took it as a sign of him saying, "Yeah, go on these lines, this is a good thought." And that's what happened. That's how I took. We always interpret things that happen to us, whether it's Baba's actions. He says, "I'm always just a reflection. What I do is just a reflecting of what you want to believe." I wanted to believe about our own divinity, and so I took this as a sign and I progressed with that. And so here we are today, many decades later. I am here today to share with you what I believe is an avatar. An avatar is like just any other wave, but not just any other wave. What does that mean? The essence of the wave is the ocean. We are all waves of the ocean. The avatar is also a wave in the ocean, if you will. So we are all part of that one divine consciousness, the ocean being an example or a symbolic representation, because it's vast. You can't see the boundaries with your naked eyes. So we will say the ocean is an infinite expanse of consciousness. From that, there is a manifestation. And therefore, an avatar is another wave, but just not any other wave. What does that mean? It means that he comes as a tsunami. I know tsunami has a negative connotation, but for this analogy, just bear with me. The tsunami is a wave that is huge and far, far more powerful than the ordinary waves that come and go. It is a collection of the ocean an expression of the ocean, if you will, in a much larger sense, that shows us the real power of what the ocean is, what one wave can do, one single wave. We know that, right? We have seen it in the very recent past, what a single tsunami can do, a single wave. So that is the essence of an avatar. An avatar is one who knows, who believes he or she is part of that ocean, and begins to express that. And in that expression, you will see the grandeur, the majesty, just like that little fish flying in its freedom. You will see and you will say, "Oh my God, this is amazing." Where we falter in our approach to this concept, or where we have faltered in a large sense, because I see this happening, is we say, "He is great, but I am not." And therefore what happens is, we wait for the second coming of Jesus Christ, we wait for the 10th avatar or the 11th avatar of Vishnu. We are waiting for what? For another God to come and deliver us. So here we are with Sathya Sai Baba coming and teaching us this grandeur, and being born in a village with no education, with absolutely raised in poverty. He established a university, a railway station, an airport, everything that you and I can think it will take lifetimes to do. He did that in one lifetime. And I'm just saying this very briefly, but for those of you who know what he has done, it's almost incredible that one person, just one person, does that. And so he does all that to prove a point that you can also do it. But what we do in turn is we say, "Oh my God, you are the miracle man. You are there. I'm here." and you come in my dreams, you are the one who appears here, appears there. And when we reduce this grand teacher, this grand omnipresent principle, Sai is now a principle for me. He is no longer a person who lived or died or nothing. It doesn't matter. Somebody calls him a human being, somebody calls him God. It really doesn't matter. For me, Sai has become a principle as much as Shiva is a principle. When I say I love Shiva, the name of Shiva or Narayana or Sai touches me, every fiber of my being awakens, is because that principle is alive in me. But that principle we begin to miss. We reduce that divine principle to what? To a God who is somewhere looking down upon us, who's testing us, who's punishing us, who's rewarding us. This is our imagination. We have reduced Sai Baba and the other avatars to a Santa Claus. Oh, he came there, the flower hill, where flowers shook when I was singing a bhajan. Oh, the handkerchief fell from the chair when we were singing something or we were talking something. Oh, there is this happening. I saw footprints on the floor. We've reduced this divine omnipresent principle to some ghostly manifestations. To me, that is insulting. To reduce his miracles were as a simple, natural expression of that divine principle. He didn't perform those miracles. It was a natural expression of his omnipresence and omnipotence. When he created this ring for me, it was not a performance that, oh, I can look at me, I can create something out of nothing. It was a manifestation of love, a divine spontaneous expression of, I know what has been your childhood desire. From your childhood, you have always desired a 9-stone ring. For whatever reason, I don't know, it was just a desire. But then he gave expression to that desire, and then he helped me manifest that desire. Right? He manifested it for me. At that moment, what I took home was not a performance of, oh, Sai Baba manifested a ring out of nowhere. But what I took home was that, oh my gosh, omnipresence is real, omnipotence is real. There is a reality in spirituality. To me, those are the seeds that are finding, if you will, life. And that's what is growing into a plant, into a tree. And that's never going to stop. These thoughts of mine, these feelings and these core beliefs that are guiding my life now will perhaps never change. Unless something completely weird happens, I don't know. To me, Sai Baba is a principle that never was born and never will die. So celebrating a birthday to me is more of a symbolic expression of remembrance of that principle and a heart of gratitude that there was a manifestation of that principle. Gratitude that I and many of us, we still continue to be exposed to the teachings of that principle. Whether Jesus lived 2000 years ago and we missed the boat by not being there with him is irrelevant. Whether Krishna was 5000 years old and we missed the boat in the sense we were not there when he was there, right? It's the same thing with Sai Baba. People write to me and saying, oh, I didn't know when he was alive. I missed him. I missed all the chance of seeing him. Yes, in a sense, yes. But then if you understand him as a principle, he's never gone anywhere. That principle is very much alive in every atom that comprises this rock, in me, in you. That principle has manifested and will manifest time and again to remind us of our own divinity. And that is what I think we need to celebrate today. When we celebrate the teachings of our Guru, when we celebrate the birth of an avatar, it is the birth of that principle within us. Otherwise, we reduce Sai Baba and all the gods as we have in the past, we reduce them to an event in the calendar. That's most demeaning. And we call ourselves devotees, I guess that's okay. We can do whatever we want, I guess. But then when we reduce that principle which is alive every moment, every day, and refuse to look within, but then create this God who will somehow be pleased by our half-hearted efforts, and we reduce him to an event, we limit him to an organization, and then we go about our lives. Doing what? Waiting for the next one to come, building stories about he appeared here, he appeared there, he did this, he did that, as if those are somehow expressions of his divinity. Those are, but those are just glimpses of the real divinity that is within you and me. My dear friends, brothers, sisters, how many birthdays of Sai Baba you have passed in your exposure to him? Some of you are known him for 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. Some of you are new to him. That's fine. Some of you have been there and pat yourself on the back saying, at least I know, I tell myself, oh, I've been with him for 15 years in his presence, literally. And then after that, 25 years outside of that. So 40, 45 years I've exposed myself to his teachings, to his principle. So much so that there is not a moment when that Sai consciousness is not absent. It's so much embedded. And many of you experience that as well, right? As Sai devotees, we call ourselves. Where and how have we transformed ourselves? How close are we to the essential teachings of Bhagwan Baba? Have we begun to remember our own divinity? Have we begun to have our own first-hand, one-on-one experience with that principle? Have we begun to understand ourselves and experience ourselves? And I'm not talking philosophically, I'm not talking theoretically, I'm not talking about whether you know Rudram chanting or Narayana Suktam or Devi Suktam, and whether you are expert in yoga. None of that. Those are all means practices. Whatever it is that you practice, meditation or physical exercise or yoga or singing bhajans or chanting or whatever it is that you practice is irrelevant. The point is, at the end of the day, the proof of the pudding is in eating. I guess that's a quote, right? What is your experience? What have you tasted? When your heart opens, do you feel a separateness? Are you talking to him as some God out there? Or have you begun to experience that contentment? I am ever content, in that quote. You know how beautiful that quote is. Grief and anxiety can never affect me. I am ever content. That ever content comes because I am God. I am the one who orchestrates my life. I am the one who creates my destiny. I am the one who creates what I call it troubles and tribulations and losses. I create it. Who am I, therefore? I don't not only create my own, I create this entire universe. This whole universe exists in my consciousness. When that awareness begins to find a fruition, a little bit at a time, but allow that little water to seep in, slowly creating a crack in the floor of your subconscious, and that crack will widen, and sooner or later a big river will be flowing in that chasm that will be created. We need to break through that hardened subconscious beliefs and conditioned mindset with that we are somehow very limited beings, and that we have somehow no power over our destiny, and there is some God out there who's ruling us or guiding us. That was never the essence of the ancient teachings, no matter what religion. Even Jesus cried from his heart saying, the kingdom of heaven is within you. But then we turned him into an institution, we turned him into a religion, and we say those who don't follow him, those who are not Christian, they'll go to hell, right? It is the same thing happening with Sai Baba again. Join his organization, otherwise you're not, and this and that. It is the same thing that happened with Krishna and Rama. We're repeating the same old mistakes again and again, and history repeats itself. But there is hope for every one of you. There is hope for me. There is hope for every being, because at every moment we have this choice. We don't have to give up any institution or any organization or anything like that. We just need to change our attitude, change our mindset, and deeply ask ourselves, where is my direct connection with God? God is not within me. That is one way to start thinking. But then we need to evolve to, I am that God. Because God within me is some kind of possession. He's not a spirit that possesses you. There is no place for two here. There is a beautiful quote of Baba. I am in the light. The light is in me. I am the light. The realization of I am the light has to happen. Whether you start with I am in the light or whether you start with the light is in me, doesn't matter. Then you progress to the other one. So if I say the light is in me, God is in me, God is in me, then I begin to progress that I am in God, I am in the light. Everything around me is an expression of divinity. There is no good, there is no bad, there is no birth, there is no death. If you have confusion about why war is going on, why there is violence, always know that these are all expressions of our collective subconscious, because we all want masala in our lives. We all want action in our lives. We don't watch old black and white movies simply because it's boring. Our brains are stimulated to see action. We need plots and subplots. Our expressions, our normal communications are expressions of that. So together we are creating this, a collective subconscious of the humanity today that believes in action and plots and partitions and divisions and martyrdom and patriotism and war and peace. All of that we believe in, and so we create that collectively and we teach it to our children, and so generations are living on borrowed principles, borrowed ideas. That is just an expression of our collective consciousness. But when we begin to see I am in the light and see God around us, everything, then we begin to live in a really different plane, not different from this reality, because this is not a real thing. We have created we have superimposed this illusion upon this expression of divinity. We become aware of a much divine presence where there is no birth, no death. There is simply an expression of oneness. You and I are expressions of that one divine principle, Ekam Sat. Vipra Bahuda Vadanti, Bahuda Vadanti. We see it as many. We perceive it as many, but there is only one. That is my core belief. You can't make me change that. I cannot now swerve from that truth. That is what guides my thoughts and feelings. And today, on this occasion of celebration of Bhagwan's birthday, I once again water those seeds. I once again nourish that strong faith in me that all of us are expressions of the one divinity. There is no difference between you and me. We are all interconnected like the waves in the ocean. They appear as many waves, but they are all connected to the same ocean. And therefore, in my progress, I pull your consciousness with mine. In your progress, you pull my consciousness with yours, and together we grow, together we learn, together we share. And it is in that togetherness we begin to experience oneness. There is no oneness if we talk about diversion, we talk about disunity, we talk about breaking up things. There cannot be spirituality. There just cannot be spirituality when in our everyday life we experience and we encourage and we talk about and we indulge, consciously or subconsciously, we indulge in breaking things into different religions or different institutions. When we create diversion, differences, then we are going against the very principle of oneness. The essential teaching of Sai is inclusion. There is only one religion, he said, when there was no teacher at his time saying that. There is only one religion, the religion of love. How wonderful it'd be if India takes the leadership and actually introduces a religion called love and says anybody in the world can become members of this religion or subscribe to this religion, and in the passport we say religion of love. How beautiful that would be. We need that. So Prime Minister Modi, if you're listening to this, bring in the religion of love. Let people subscribe to that. I'm not a Hindu, I'm not a Christian, I'm not a Muslim, but I believe in one religion, that is the religion of love. There is only one caste, he said, the caste of humanity. We are human beings. Why would one human being hurt somebody else? Why would there be a war when we mercilessly kill someone else? Why? I don't know. That's because deep in our subconscious, collective subconscious, we are encouraging division. We see it as differences, different beings, different countries, different things. There's one earth. There is only one language of the heart. There is only one God, and He is omnipresence. Omnipresence is the principle of divinity. And that omnipresent God cannot be reduced to a God who's watching me, because there is no place where He is not. And that includes every atom in your being, every molecule, every single thing here is an expression of that divinity. The sooner we experience that, the sooner we jump to that bandwagon, the sooner we get on to that airplane of Baba. He said once, when I take off, I wish I have 5 people with me, because that is the plane He wants to take us to. That plane of consciousness where there is only love, there is only oneness. That is a whole different level of experience. Have we as Sai devotees made efforts? Are we as Sai devotees making efforts towards that? That is a question we need to ask. That is a question we need to answer. And in finding that answer, we begin to unleash, if you will, this tremendous potential within us. To me, Sai's teachings are all about self-empowerment. Not believing in a God outside or being a victim of circumstances, but taking charge of your life and knowing that you are a divine principle. And when you call upon the divine principle and allow that divine principle to express through your thoughts, through your words, through your deeds, then and then only you become an instrument, and then you unleash your actions and your words and your thoughts know no horizons. There is nothing to limit what you can possibly achieve. We are all limiting ourselves by our own conditioned beliefs. And Baba has come to break that. An avatar comes to break that. A tsunami wave comes to tell you this is how powerful a wave is. Not the little waves that just play with your feet and you say, oh, it's cold water, and you jump up and down in glee, and once in a while this huge tsunami comes and says, this is the power of the ocean, right? That is the power of an avatar. He has come, He's awakened us. The question is, we need to join His bandwagon. We need to join that, get into that plane where He wants to take us to that highest divine principle. To me, that is revival of the ancient teachings of Sanathana Dharma. To me, that is the revival of the teachings of all avatars, whether it's Rama, Krishna, Buddha, Jesus, Sai. The essential teaching is, remember that within us lies that. So my dear brothers and sisters, let us celebrate this event, this occasion with greatest joy, knowing that I really need to go. I don't not need to go anywhere. I don't need to. I undertake pilgrimages. Or I do spiritual practices out of simply a joy because that helps me stay connected. Find your practice that helps you connect. You connect, not because everybody else is doing it, not because it's right or wrong, or there's no techniques and methods at that point. It's just a heart-to-heart communication between you and your God. Find that. And then enjoy that practice just because it keeps you connected with your divine self. That practice is not a means to get you anywhere. It simply is a door that opens and you're back home. And in that home, you simply relax, enjoy. The essence of that practice takes you into that deep communion with God. So, these are the thoughts that inspire me today as I humbly and very gratefully offer my feelings and my thoughts at the feet of my beloved Master Bhagwan, Sri Sathya Sai Baba. And I thank him a million times for having awakened this divine principle within me, having taught me to go within, having taught me the joy of giving selflessly, working selflessly. Even though life is not easy, steps are not easy in that direction, it doesn't matter. The joy is far more than all the little troubles and the tribulations and limited resources or whatever. All that really becomes irrelevant at that point. It's a high. A spiritual high is priceless, because in that experience you truly begin to understand that, my God, I'm just helping myself. When I help everyone else, I'm helping myself, and that self is infinite in its glory. Thank you as always for your patience. If I rambled, I did. I don't know. These are my thoughts. I want every spiritual talk like this to be a heart-to-heart communication, not a scripted verse or not something that I declare because everyone else likes to hear, but this is what it is. This is what in my thoughts. Ask yourself what is in your heart today on Swami's birthday. How do you nourish that thought? And how do you allow that to grow to the very essence, towards the essence of Sai's teachings, because he is not different from his teachings. Rama is not different from Rama's name. Neither is Jesus or Buddha or any of the great masters. When we follow the essence of their teachings, incorporate their teachings in our life, then they begin to manifest in our life. We get sakshatkara, the divine manifestation. So may Bhagwan Baba manifest in your heart, in your life. May he guide you as he had guided millions of people, continues to guide with his omnipresence, essence. Remember that you and I have that essence of the ocean within us. So Sai is alive in you, in me, in every fiber. Understand Sai as a principle. May that divine principle of Sai guide you, guide your thoughts, our thoughts. Guide us all to that heightened form of living where our thoughts, where our deeds, where our words begin to reflect, and we begin to reflect a sign of health, a sign of perfection, a sign of love, so that the future generations that manifest from that same ocean begin to understand what a divine life that we can all lead. And then life finds its fullest expression. And the game of life becomes even more colorful, even more beautiful, even more divine. Thank you once again. As always, stay blessed, stay inspired, and may the divine continue to guide us. Namaste.
Nataraja Namami Shankara.
Nataraja Namami Shankara.
Nataraja Namami Shankara.
Nataraja Namami Shankara.
Shivaraja Shiva Shiva Shankara.
Shivaraja Shiva Shiva Shankara.
Shivaraja Shiva Shiva Shankara.
Shivaraja Shiva Shiva Shankara.
Nataraja Namami Shankara.
Nataraja Namami Shankara.
Shirdi Purishwara Shiva Shankara.
Shirdi Purishwara Shiva Shankara.
Shirdi Purishwara Shiva Shankara.
Shirdi Purishwara Shiva Shankara.
Parti Purishwara Parameshwara.
Parti Purishwara Parameshwara.
Parti Purishwara Parameshwara.
Parti Purishwara Parameshwara.
Hridayeshwara Saishwara.
Hridayeshwara Saishwara.
Hridayeshwara Saishwara.
Hridayeshwara Saishwara.
Nataraja Namami Shankara.
Nataraja Namami Shankara. Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya Namo.
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 Nandi Vahana Namah Shivaya.
Nandivahana Namah Shivaya.
Namah Shivaya.
Namah Shivaya.
Nandi Vahana Namah Shivaya.
Nandivahana Namah Shivaya.
Nadalola Sai Namah Shivaya.
Nadalola Sai Namah Shivaya.
Nadalola Sai Namah Shivaya. Shivaya.
Nadalola Sai Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya Shivaya Namo.
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 Om Namah Shivaya Shivaya Namah.
समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु. May all the beings in all the worlds be happy.